It seems like I've tried just about every side hustle from DoorDash to Amazon FBA, and today I'm going to break down every side hustle that I've ever tried so that you know which ones you want to try for yourself or which ones were a complete bust. So the first side hustle that I'm going to talk about is DoorDash, and this is a fairly new side hustle for me, but I have really been enjoying it and seeing some good results. DoorDash is one of the most popular apps that people in the gig economy are using, gig work where people can kind of make money on their own terms and just do different individual jobs for these various companies. If you're unfamiliar with DoorDash, it's basically a place where people can order food and groceries, and then other people who are signed up on the app can go and get paid to pick up those orders and deliver. I've been making around $25 to $30 an hour, so it's actually been going fairly well for me. There are other expenses like, yes, you have to pay for your gas, and yes, I know there's going to be taxes on that, so I don't want to be hearing it in the comments, but I'm grossing around $25 to $30 an hour, and my car is fairly fuel efficient, so it's honestly not that bad. This side hustle has been working really well for me in my small town because it's a pretty small area of coverage. There's really rare instances where I would have to deliver more than a few miles, so everything is fast and efficient and fuel efficient because I'm not having to drive very far to make these orders. Now my strategy is pretty simple. For most of my day, I'm just at home doing work from my computer or maybe working from a laptop at the local coffee shop. So I simply open up my DoorDash app, I set it there, and then as orders come in, I go and I get them and I get back to work. It's a nice break from staring at a computer screen all day, and it doesn't really take a ton of my time other than disappearing for 15 minutes or so to go make a quick delivery. And at the end of the day in my small town, I'd say on a low day, I see 20 or 25 bucks, and on a high day, I see more like $60. Now, I also have been going once a week into a bigger city about 45 minutes away, and here I've generally been making around $100 to $150 between DoorDash and Instacart. Again, I'm averaging around the same $25 to $30 gross, but I'm spending a little bit more gas when I go to the city. It's just more consistent, so I'm able to make more money. The next side hustle that I'm going to break down is power washing. This is one that I did a few summers back, and I was able to make some pretty good money. Nothing crazy, but it was an okay side hustle. However, it was very labor intensive. I was literally washing houses and sidewalks all day long. It really can be tiring work, but I was able to make upwards of $50 an hour on some jobs if we were efficient. Some jobs were worse, some jobs did more, but at the top end, I could really see around $50 an hour clear, which is nice. This is a solid side hustle, but it does take some capital to start up. I would say you're gonna need at least a few $100s to get started, and that's like if you're renting machines or getting really low grade equipment. I recently interviewed someone on my podcast, and he said that you need more like a couple $1,000s to really do it well, but he said you could get by with less if you were just getting like a basic machine, and I even threw out the idea of potentially renting your equipment just to get started. Once you do get started, focus on referrals because that is the best way to grow. One satisfied client could lead to 3 or 4 more, and then that can just continue to spiral and spiral, and you'll be so booked that you don't even have to worry about client acquisition. Now, the negatives, like I said, is it's a lot of work. All day long power washing does get tiring, and if you're dealing with a lot of dirt, that can deal with some sickness. And there is always liability issues and other things that need to be considered. Overall, this is a solid side hustle to implement in the summers. This is just one of many labor examples. I know other people do landscaping, cutting yards, window washing, car detailing is another example that I've heard that you can really make a lot of money per hour of your time. My next side hustle that actually was able to turn into a legitimate brick and mortar business is candle making. Whenever I was in high school, I went through a program called CEO, Creating Entrepreneurial Opportunities. And throughout this year, you have to start up your own personal business. I started up Alpha Candle as my candle making side hustle when I went through this program. And today, 5 years later, we actually have our own brick and mortar shop, our own website at alphacandles.net. We do candle making events, wholesale, private label, subscriptions, all these different revenue streams. So it really has turned from a side hustle into a really solid, flourishing business. This business can be started with a fairly small amount of money. You really just need some basic equipment and some supplies to get started making your first candles. I would say if you have just a few $100 saved up, then this is a side hustle that you can try out. I also would encourage you, if you're on a budget and you don't have a ton of startup capital, what you can do is lean on pre-orders. Scrape together enough money to make, 5 or 6 different candles, and then you can take those around and start selling them. Say, hey, here are some samples that I made. I would love to earn your business. We have a 2-week turnaround time, and then what what you can do is collect money for the orders, order your supplies, come back, make them, have the candles delivered in 2 weeks. So there's always creative ways if you're strapped for cash to get the business going. Remember, pre-orders are your best friend, and this is a side hustle that can be high margin and fun because you're actually getting to make something. The next side hustle is going to be Amazon FBA. This is a business that I first started out in April of 2020 doing retail arbitrage. This was the process of going into retail stores, buying items on the low and reselling them on Amazon through FBA. This business did really well, and I eventually transitioned into online arbitrage, which is the same concept, but I was buying from everyday sites like Nike or Walmart and then flipping those products back on Amazon FBA. As far as how much money you need to start this business, I would generally want to say around $500 is a good starting point to get you some basic tools, get you a good inventory budget. But if you have more than that, set it to the side for now, because you're going to make mistakes when you first start out. But once you learn what you're doing, then you can kind of pour in the cash. I would just hate for you to burn through your cash because you're making mistakes. But reselling products on Amazon FBA can be a fantastic side hustle. It's the one that I've spent the most time and energy on over the years, and that's what most of my channel covers. So if you're interested in learning more about Amazon FBA or just side hustles and business in general, make sure you subscribe down below. Thanks for watching.